Hello, everyone. My name is Cynthia Kane, and I am a Reference and Instruction Librarian at the Emporia State University Libraries and Archives. We have actually two video tutorials for you to watch to introduce you to the library and accessing information. This is the first one for EL150, Introduction to the Elementary Education Major, on accessing library resources for research. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm switching over now to a new tab in Google Chrome. Anything that you do, however, on researching with library resources on campus or off campus can actually be done in any browser that you prefer to use. The first thing I'm going to do is show you a shortcut to the library's webpage where we will be starting all of our research. And that shortcut is emporia.edu/library. And you may want to bookmark or save this page as favorites in your browser so that you don't have to remember how to navigate back to it again. This is the library's webpage, and as noted, this is where we're going to start all of our research for books and articles and other resources for any project or any paper. I'm going to scroll down here. And there are two icons that I'm going to be focusing on for this video tutorial. The first is the Discovery Search Catalog, and the second is databases. And the difference between the two is that the Discovery Search Catalog is your best choice if you're looking for specific items such as books, either print books or electronic online books. The Discovery Search Catalog is also where you would go to if you had a citation or a reference to an article that wasn't immediately available in full text in a database, and you wanted to see if that specific article would happen to be in full text in another database. You could do that within the Discovery Search Catalog. However, I don't recommend the Discovery Search Catalog for doing a broad topic search for the full text of articles, mainly because there's just so much information in that you're going to get very overwhelmed when you start your search. For more topic-specific searching for articles in elementary education, I would strongly recommend some of the databases that we have in our database icon or link, and I'm going to be showing you those in just a little bit. Let's go first to the Discovery Search Catalog. And as I noted, this is the place that I would go to if I had been directed by one of my professors to find books on a particular topic. The first thing you're going to see up here is a link that says, "Hello, guest. Log in for full access." When you are in the Discovery Search Catalog, this is actually the first link that you want to click on. And you would be prompted to put in your ESU username and your password. This is the same information that you use to access Canvas and your email as well. So I will go ahead and put in my information. And we will log in. Now, this login prompt when you are off campus simply authenticates you as a currently enrolled ESU student, and then you can use all the resources that we have off campus. I'm going to scroll down here because there are a couple of areas that I would like for you to be aware of. Notice down here, there's already a checkbox for ESU has it. That means that whatever I search for in the Discovery Search Catalog, that should be limited to access that we have through ESU, through the library. I could limit my search further, however. If I only wanted print books, I could click on print books, or if I only wanted ebooks or electronic books, and we do have a lot of electronic books in the library available as well, I could click under ebooks only and limit my search that way. I'm going to limit my results to print books only first, and I'm going to go back up here. And one thing I want to do is show you a little tip for better searching in library resources. So you might notice that I changed these fields here to AB Abstract. And the reason I did that is that I'm going to be doing a rather broad search on elementary education. And I'm going to go down here, and I'm sort of interested in art or art education. So I'm going to type in the word art. And you notice that art education will pop up here as a possibility. Now, when I limited my search just to the abstract, that means that these words are going to appear in my search only if they appear in the abstract or the summary of a particular item rather than the entire full text. Now, sometimes this does not always work, but I always start with an abstract limited search first to make sure I'm not getting too many results that I don't necessarily have time to go through. So let's click on search. And I found 2 results. I could always broaden my search a little bit more, but this is going to be perfect for what I want to show you. Now, this first one is a print book, Teaching Art in the Elementary School, Child Growth Through Art Experiences. I look to see when a book is published to see if it's going to be useful for my information need. Now, this one was published in 1962, so it might be a little bit dated, but it's a start because then I could browse and see if I could find similar books in the same call number area. This will tell you where the book is located in our library, the call number, the number that we would use to retrieve the book, and if the status is available or if it is already checked out. So this is one way that I could look for print books. Now, let's go back over here though, and notice that these same limits are over here on the left side of the screen. I am not necessarily physically on the campus right now, and so I would really like to see if we have any ebooks or electronic books. And that really broadened my search. We are getting more and more electronic books in, so I would definitely try that as an option if you need to look for books for a particular research project. And we have some possibilities here. Some really interesting ones, it looks like. Now, some of these are not necessarily related to art or art education because I did a rather broad search, but nevertheless, it gives me some possibilities that I can look through. I'm going to take record number 7 as an example. This is an ebook, Active Education. Well, now that's going a little bit more toward physical education, but I'd still like to read it. I'm going to click on the PDF full text. And if you're familiar with Kindle versions of books for ebooks, this is going to be a little bit familiar to you. At this point, I could scroll down and I could read this entire book online, or I could go over here, especially if this happened to be a book or an ebook that my professor assigned that I should read, and I could download different chapters as PDFs onto my computer and read those offline. Also, if I go up here to Cite, I'll be getting into this a little bit more in our second video tutorial, but any type of cite or citation tools feature in an electronic resource will help you generate a particular citation in a style that you're required to use, such as APA, American Psychological Association. Now, this specific reference looks fairly accurate, but I'm going to warn you, not all of these citations that are created in the cite or citation tools of electronic resources are 100% accurate. So you always want to proofread to see if you need to put something in lowercase or add some colons. Don't take them just at face value. Nevertheless, if you do use the cite or citation tools to generate a citation, it does make it a lot easier to highlight the citation, copy it, and then paste that into a working bibliography or a working paper so that you can go back and edit the citation later on. We'll go back to result list. Now that was just a very quick overview of the Discovery Search Catalog because I really want to go back over here to our library's webpage and spend a little bit of time now on databases. I suspect you probably are going to be using databases quite a bit. If not for this class, then for other research-based classes during your time at ESU. We have a lot of databases. As you can see, we have close to 200. Now, if you go over here to all subjects, and if you click on education, that narrows down our possibilities for databases so that these are just more specific databases that are limited to the field of education. I'm going to go back up here for just a second. I have some information for you at the end of this video tutorial, but I just wanted to highlight Dr. Terry Summy is your librarian liaison. She will be available to help you as of spring 2021 and beyond, and I have contact information for both of us at the end of our video tutorial. So for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to highlight two specific resources that work really well for education-related needs. And this first one that I like is called Education Source. Now, remember when I was back in the Discovery Search Catalog, I clicked on that link at the top of the screen that said, "Hello guest, log in for full access." Well, since I'm already logged in as myself as being affiliated with ESU, as long as I stay in this browsing session and I don't exit it, I won't have to log back in again. However, if you started with a database to begin with and you click on the name of the database, such as Education Source, you would be asked to log in again with your ESU username and password if you're off campus. So that's just a heads up. So we're going to go here and I'm going to go ahead and allow this. And I am now in the Education Source database. Now, I always go, when I have a choice in a database, to an advanced search. Now, this may look a little bit familiar because it looks very similar to the search screen that we had for the Discovery Search Catalog, because they do come from the same place, EBSCOhost. And I can do the same thing that I did in the Discovery Search Catalog. I can limit my search again to abstract. And let's do elementary education. Now you notice I'm getting some suggested ways of searching. Often I will use these suggested words like you might see in a Google search to give myself some more ideas if I'm searching for other keywords for a topic. But we'll just stay with elementary education for now. And we're going to type in art education. And notice I could do art education curriculum or funding. There are some different possibilities. We'll just do art education. And I'm going to scroll down here to show you a few more limits. Now, depending on the type of research you're doing for a class, your professor may say that they only want you to find articles from something called scholarly or peer-reviewed journals. And that just simply means that those are journals that have been reviewed by scholarly individuals that know something about the topic, as opposed to just posting something online and nobody has actually reviewed it. If you limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journals, that's going to really help you in that type of limit for that type of search. I am not going to limit to full text, and the reason I'm not going to do that, I will actually cover in our second video tutorial. The problem is that if I limited just to full text here, to full text of articles through Education Source, I could actually wind up eliminating other references to articles that would be really useful for my information need, but are not actually available in Education Source. But we might actually have them in another database. So that's why I don't necessarily do this type of limit, but I do like to do scholarly peer-reviewed journals. And we'll go back up here, and we'll go ahead and just do a quick search. And with that limit of peer-reviewed journals, I have 125 references. Now I can go over here to relevance. These are actually sorted by relevance, meaning that they will have the keywords that appear most often. So hopefully the most relevant articles appeared first in my search. If you really wanted the newest articles to appear first, you could change your sorting here to the date newest, and you would get the newest articles in your first results. Now you're going to notice here that some of these articles, such as the first one, might be in different languages. If you wish to limit your search again just to articles that are in a specific language, you can do that. You can go back and do a lot of limits after you've done your first search. So that came up with 90 articles. Now, even though I didn't limit to full text, a lot of these are available in full text, which is very nice. I can click on PDF full text, And at this point, I could save this article to my computer directly, or I could go over here to this icon for Google Drive. You do have access to Google Drive with your g.emporia.edu account. And if you signed into Google Drive that way, you could save all of these articles to Google Drive, or you could set up different subfolders for different research areas, basically different categories. Just a really nice thing to be able to do. I'm going to go back over here to result list. And sometimes if I don't really have a lot of time to go through articles, but I don't want to lose them, if I click on these little folders next to each article, and then if I go up here to folder, I could save these, or I could email these articles with the PDFs. If the PDF full text is available, I could email those to myself. I could just put in my email address here, and I could then say that I wanted the citations, which would appear at the end of my email, to be in APA format. So I would have some citations saved as well. I will often do that if I don't have a lot of time to start my research, but I really want to save some articles and some citations that I would have time to review later on. So there are just a lot of things that you can do. Let's go back here and back again. Now, Education Source happens to be something called an EBSCOhost database. And because of that, there's a link here that's called Sign In that I would encourage you to check out as well. We're going to click on Sign In. And Sign In simply means that you are creating an EBSCOhost account. This is not anything that you have to do, but I strongly encourage that you do this. And I'll show you one of the advantages of creating an EBSCOhost account. You can sign in with Google with your g.emporia.edu address. I'm going to sign in with my Emporia address. And now you see up here, I've got information about my account. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, remember when I was clicking on these different links to add articles to a folder? If I'm already signed in with my EBSCOhost account, I can click on these and I can actually add them to a folder in my EBSCOhost account that will not go away until I actually decide to delete those articles. Now, when I clicked on this, you notice that I have some different subfolders going on here. In your folder of information, and we'll go back up here, you can create different subfolders for different types of research. So if you're doing research on a topic for one class and then another topic for another class, you can create different subfolders, save your articles within Education Source in those different folders, and then that way you don't have to go back and resort what belongs with a particular subject category or what belongs with a particular assignment. Again, just a really nice feature to be able to do. And as you can see, I've been saving quite a few articles as I go along. I'm going to go back here. And I will show you one more thing that you can do once you're signed in to your EBSCOhost account in Education Source, and then I'm going to show you another database to use. Notice here there's something called Search History. We're going to click on this. Now, this reflects my searches that I have done so far in the Education Source database. Let's say that I really like this last search that I did that wound up with 90 results, but again, I don't have time to go through all 90 results. Once I'm signed in up here with my EBSCOhost account, I could click on Search History, and I could choose to save a particular search. I could go over here to Save Searches. I'm only saving search number 2. And I could name this Art Education. Again, kind of a reminder of what I did. And this can be a permanent saved search until I decide that I want to delete it. And it's going to be saved in the Education Source database. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, now when I come back a few days later, and if I got into Education Source, signed in with my EBSCOhost account, I could at the search screen, go to search history. And I can retrieve this search. I could rerun it again. I will get the results that I had from a few days ago. And if any other articles have been added since that time to the database, those would be retrieved as well. I'm a huge believer in doing this. So again, I do think it's a really good way and a good idea to know how to create an EBSCOhost account. We're going to go back to view results again. And again, there are a lot of different limits that you can do. You can use the slider bar over here if you only wanted articles, say, in the last few years. And then that will change your search. Now I now have 69. So that's the education source database. I think that's a really good one to start with when you're looking for information for any type of education-related subject. Another one I wanted to show you, though, is back under education, and it is called ERIC. And ERIC is similar to education source because it will give you references to articles. We're going to do our same search. Remember, I limit by abstract. And I'm going to do elementary education. And again, I could choose any of these suggested ways of searching if I wanted. And we'll do art, education, basically the same search. And down here, I could limit to peer-reviewed, like I did in education source for peer-reviewed publications. Now, ERIC is a little bit different because it may not contain the full text of a lot of journal articles. Now you notice it is saying that on some of these, I could go to the full text from the ERIC database, and this is an article from a journal called State Education Standard, and I can download the full text directly from the ERIC database, which is actually a database from the United States Department of Education. So it may have some links here to the full text. It just depends. And there's another one that does have the PDF full text. And depending on what you're getting, you will either get journal articles, or in this particular instance, we're going to click on full text again. This one is actually not a journal article, interestingly enough. I can download the full text, but notice over here it has an ED for a number. ED in ERIC stands for educational document, and it does say non-journal. Now the EDs, or the non-journal items in the ERIC database, could be research reports, they could be conference proceedings, they can be a lot of different items other than journals. They are also a wealth of information. But you also may want to check with your professor when you're using the ERIC database to see if it's all right for you to use any non-journal items, or if your professor would want you to stay just with scholarly journal articles. So again, it just depends on what your particular professor would want you to do. Let's go back over here. That's a very quick overview of the Discovery Search Catalog and databases such as Education Source and ERIC. In the second video tutorial, I'm going to be showing you some different ways of finding the full text of articles if they're not popping up already in databases such as Education Source. We will also go over something called interlibrary loan to obtain items that are not available through the William Allen White Library. And then finally, I will be showing you some links that we have to provide you with additional help with citing items or writing papers in APA, the American Psychological Association style. Thank you for watching this video. Now remember that you can ask for help from your library liaison for this class. In the fall of 2020, that would be me, Cynthia Kane. You can reach me at ckane1@emporia.edu or at 620-341-5480, and I'd be happy to make a research appointment with you. Beginning in the spring of 2021 and beyond that, Dr. Terry Summey is your librarian liaison, and you can reach her at tsummey@emporia.edu or at 620-341-5058. And you can also contact us at the reference desk at 341-5207, or you can email us at litref01@emporia.edu. Thank you for watching.